I definitely fell into the trap of just doing. Like I was just like, oh, they say to do this, so I'm going to do that. And I heard a really brilliant phrase just the other day. It was like you're buying someone else's used lottery ticket.
Yeah.
And it's like, that worked for them.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And there are millions of people out there, millions of people making it work, lots of people are not making it work. And like this social media illusion of, everyone's got it sussed and sorted.
Hi and welcome to the Small Business Podcast for small businesses, where everything we talk about is to help you and your small business. Now, today we have the very, very lovely Marie Daines that we have worked with for, years now. Years. It's been years. So Marie is an expert in mindset and energetics, and she's a coach / arse kicker / she's just a lot of magic. So thanks for coming on, Marie. Nice
Thank you for having me. What an introduction.
So tell us, what you're up to. What's your plan? You've just had a bit of a rebrand. What are you up to? What are you doing?
Okay. Right, let's try and put this in a nutshell, because as you know, I'm quite good at talking. What am I up to? So I have had massive shifts in my business over the years, as you well know. And it very much started out in the mindset world, but more recently it is owning the passion that I have about really how we feel about ourselves and that self-image and the energy that we carry out, we radiate, and essentially trying to bridge more of the mindset to the unseen. Right, but a lot of people are starting to understand a little bit more
the magic.
And the magic indeed. Although of course it's not magic when you dive into the science. It's all there, and in some instances people can understand that more. Like someone comes in the room in a bad energy, you feel it, they don't have to say anything, they can understand that. But it's more the synchronicities, it's more understanding that how you're feeling about yourself is going to impact how you see the world, how you see an opportunity, how you talk to people, how you share about your work, so on and so forth. So that is a massive part of my work. And I do a lot of, whilst I've got one-to-one, I have my beautiful mastermind, which I incorporate all of the aspects of coaching I wish I had when I first started out. So you have that one-to-one support, that hand-holding, that initial feedback. Like in the moment, people go, Marie, oh my goodness, it's, what's happening, or I don't know what to do about this, and they can get that real perspective shift in real time. And then you've got the group aspect, which is the community aspect, which is the hive mind, like when you bring people together and they can really start to share their own little insights and instincts and feedback with people, and seeing that come together is really beautiful. But also the subconscious work, which is again a subject, whilst people are talking about it more, I don't think they're still talking about it enough, because 95% of what we think, feel and do every single day is of the same energy, and it's been programmed for however many years you've been around. That's if you're over 35, unless you're doing conscious work and changing that and really understanding why you think, feeling that like you do, why you see the world through those lenses. And so my mastermind's been my more recent baby, which I absolutely love. But I am also doing the self-led courses. Some people like to take themselves through their own journeys. And what I'm really focusing down on is particular transformations. So whether that be around identity, like you can't beat your own self-image. If you feel like you're useless, easily distracted, so on and so forth, your experience is going to show that to you. So that is what I'm doing to prepare me for my next season of life, as we are expecting baby number 2. And that's probably it in a nutshell.
Good nutshell. So how much do the clients have access to you? How does it work in terms of when people are, because I'm guessing you become a bit of a not a crutch, that's not what I mean, but they, through what they're doing, they'll lean on you a bit more for that guidance, expertise, questions.
I think everyone's a little bit different. The beauty in technology is that they can send me a voice note and they can catch me in the moment. I don't have to be sitting there on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
Which has been a game changer. You don't have to wait like, oh, this has come up, I've got to wait a week to tell me about it.
Yeah.
No. And you can make those shifts really quickly. And really it's a practice, isn't it? It's first and foremost, you need to have that understanding and that knowledge to then be able to see it and then change it. And you might see it after you've done it.
Yeah.
You might kick yourself or whatever. And then you see yourself when you're doing it. And then eventually you will see yourself before you do it. Yeah. And so really, I often get feedback from clients saying, Marie, you're in my head. Yeah. Like they can hear me correcting them as they go. So, which is why the one-to-one sessions aren't just a one-off is not enough. Like you need to have at least 3 months, I think, of practice of doing it. And with this work, there's always like another level to it, another depth to it, which is beautiful in and of itself, because there's always that room for growth and expansion and awareness. But I don't think anyone's sort of, I think it's a good sign that people don't always keep coming back. Yeah. Like, well, you know a few of my clients now, but we've gone from where we were working 3 years ago, now they're on stages that they never would have even anticipated being on. And that's a massive credit to what we do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've spoke to a few people, and even people I didn't know, and you've come and, do you know Marie Daines? Oh, yeah, I worked with her, and this what happened, and and they've kind of, like you say, they've gone on. In a way, it's a weird business model. So like when I spoke to Scott from Edge Physio, he said, I've not got a great business model because I want to fix people. I don't want to say you need to come to me forever, he said, but I want people to like live their best lives, and they go off, and that's absolutely amazing. And I'm guessing it's the same sort of thing for you, to the fact you can see people just like absolutely flying. I mean, what a massive tick. So
absolutely. And that's, not everyone wants to be on stages, but it's, for some people it's that being able to move away from the mum guilt, or have that better work-life balance, and giving themselves permission to follow more of what brings them joy, lights them up, and see the stories that have held them back from doing that. And that's really where it's at. I think one of my favourite bits of feedback still was from a client called Kaylee, and she said her little boy came up to her, Mum, I think you're being nicer. And she said, oh, do you think that's because I'm happy? I was like, yeah, I think it is. And I was like, that's priceless, because why do we do what we do? Yeah, it's not to work for us and our family.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I had a reel come up earlier actually, and it was just a picture of the sunset on the ocean, and just going, well, why would I want to work 9 to 5 to not see my kids, go home, shout at everyone for dinner, bed, and then get up and do it all over again? Like it's not what's not for me. That's not what I want to do. So if we can change that, and you're right, it's that mum guilt. I always say you've got the mum guilt or the work guilt or the you guilt. So you're always in one of those. It feels like this continuous thing of just like, if I'm not doing one or the other, I've got the guilt of that. And it's then and I think we're worse as females for having that guilt as well. So
we could definitely dive into the programming of that, which is, why I do predominantly work with females. One, because obviously that's an experience that I can relate to. It's not to say that this work is not just as powerful for chaps and they have their own challenges, but obviously that's something that I can relate to rather more. And most of the women that I work with have started their businesses to work around the kids, the pickups, the maternity leaves, just get a few extra. They want to contribute, and so on and so forth. So, it is really interesting to dive into that programming, because as women, as it often comes back down to the good girls. So that subconscious programming we were talking about is usually very much well on its way by the age of 7, when we're basically like sponges and we're taking everything in. And then we start to get more of that conscious mind. Our minds aren't fully developed. I say fully developed, obviously you can change it, but in capacity by 25, I think it was. Or is it 23? It might be 23. Yeah. But, you know, it explains a lot of that strange behaviour we had as teenagers, perhaps. But anyway,
going back to what you're talking about. I was well normal.
But yeah, so before 7, and if you think about, you know, how we interpreted receiving love through achievements, whether that be sports or you being the good one, and often rewarded for that, it's all programmed into how we then act when we're older.
Yeah.
And we don't like upsetting people.
No.
We're told off for being, I don't know, being boastful as opposed to being proud, or being too much.
Yeah. And then you get the people pleasers, then you get the imposter syndrome, and then it's always just a wheel. We're on this continuous wheel of, so you're helping people get off that wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because how can you be an imposter if you're being yourself?
Yeah.
But it's that clarity on what actually do you want.
Yeah.
So we're often actually going after things that we've been told we should want.
Yeah.
Versus what we actually want. So once you have that clarity, you give yourself permission to go for it. When you realise not everyone's your people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you just turn around, would you like everyone?
And that's my favourite question. And when you get someone in and they're starting a business, and I'll be like, right, what's your target audience? Oh, it's everyone. Right, that's wrong. And they're like, what do you mean it's wrong? I went, okay, classic. Do you like everyone? Do you want to work with everyone? I've been threatened by a client. Would you want to work with that client? No, you wouldn't. And I said, and as much as I'm not a negative person, you have to look at it as, who wouldn't I want to work with? Because I bet you there are people you know in your life that you'd be like, oh no, I wouldn't want to work with them. And I said, you can do it that way, or you can do it, but I'm telling you now, you do not want to work with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's that trust, really, because what really is the underlying fear is that, well, I might be turning down some sort of income or whatever.
Yeah.
And so what you're actually saying is, I don't trust that if I get clear on who I want to serve and actually do what I want to do and be who I truly am, that someone's going to like it.
Yeah.
And of course they are.
Yeah.
There's some extremely rare types of people out in this world that, you know, they found their crowd. And so, there's loads of people that get you and want to work with you, but how are they going to work with you unless you are shining brightly and being all of you?
Yeah. And it's funny because you tend to get people, and I'll say to people if they're worried about losing a client, and I'm like, but did you work together really, really well? Be honest. Or what kind of relationship was it? And I went, honestly, something else will come along. I can guarantee it. Well, how do you know? I went, I promise you, something else always comes along. And you can see him look at me. But it's that thing of just like, you can't, and it's harder to explain to someone who I think's, and no disrespect, there are people, I know people that thrive in employment and they want to climb the corporate ladder, and that's for them, and that's absolutely amazing. But I left because I didn't fit in with that. But it's harder to explain to someone like that because they have to work with who they have to work with. So to have someone come out of that, and the realization when I'm like, you don't have to work with people you don't want to or you don't like, and they're like, well, what do you mean? Because it's that I've got to earn money, I can't turn down work. And I'm like, I can guarantee you, one, if someone asks you for a freebie or a discount, they are going to be the most nightmare client you'll ever meet. I said, if someone's not batting an eyelid at your price, they've built into you, and they will have their own little network and recommendations of people as well. And I think that's kind of, and that's what I always say to them, that's your marketing gold. If you've got people spreading word of mouth that you don't have to promote and push yourself, and they just find you, you're there. You're onto kind of a winner. So,
Yeah. Oh gosh, starting out is such a minefield, right? Because you have so many different people giving you opinions of what you should be doing, and
Dave from down the pub, yeah,
who's not probably done it anyway. But yeah, and I definitely fell into the trap of just doing. Like, I was just like, oh, they say to do this, so I'm going to do that. And I heard a really brilliant phrase just the other day. It was like, you're buying someone else's used lottery ticket.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that worked for them.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And there are millions of people out there, millions of people making it work, lots of people are not making it work. And like this social media illusion of, everyone's got it sussed and sorted.
Social media. And it's interesting because you spoke about something quite earlier on about how we view ourselves, talking nicely to ourselves, the internal dialogue and stuff, which to me, and I always say it's an awful thing to say, but I'm not a huge fan of social media personally. So I don't really use Facebook that often. I'll use Instagram and update pictures, but I find I can myself go down a bit of a minefield, and it will make myself feel crap about myself. And I fully admit that. I think it can be really toxic and horrible, but for businesses used in the right way, which is fine. But then even our breakout algorithm will come back and go, oh, we do this thing on Canva and we're making like 100 grand a week and all of this. And you're like, it's not real. It's not real. And I think a lot of people don't realise that people will lie on social media, and they'll immediately go, they're aspiring to something that's not real, that's not actually happening. So yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. Is that quite a frequent battle you find with people, that they're, because it's hard, isn't it? Because you want to advertise on social media and it's a place where everyone is, but actually it's I still love that my daughter plays and goes to the park after school. It's not
Farley, like the multi-levels.
I mean, yes, we could. I mean, how long we got? We're going to come back over the next 3 days to discuss this.
Yeah. But I like to think, well, I know with everything there's a light and dark, right? Mm-hmm. I've made some incredible connections online, friendships, cheerleaders, and impact, which, celebrate all day. But as you say, there is a not so good side, which is not looking like it's going to get any better because of AI. Like, we do not know what's true and what's not, and it's only going to get more and more hard to distinguish that. So I think that is like very much a red flag for me. And even anyway, with normal news, I'm very skeptical on what's what, who's funding what the motives are behind it. So I'm sort of got to this point in my life, which has not always been the case, that I don't watch the news for a start, but I'm kind of just trusting that everything, the dark, the good stuff, obviously we see more of the dark stuff because they know that gets the attention. Yeah, they know that gets people emotionally involved. Yeah, that it is always working out. Yeah, and that might sound really horrible to someone, like, oh my God, Marie, there's some atrocities happening. Absolutely. Yeah, they should not be happening. But I believe that they bring about an awareness and a knowing that is seen now more than ever. Like, we see the powers that be, and they're calling these governments out to take action and such like. So from that point of view, I like to see it almost a little bit like a show. Yeah. And remembering that we are consuming so much information all the time, way more than we're designed to consume. And we can get taken away by that. And actually a lot of that is not in our control. Yeah. So we need to come back to, okay, well, what is in our control? What do we want our experience to be? And I believe that what you resist persists. What you're fighting against actually comes up more. Yeah. And actually, if we went on the other hand and did celebrate more of the good stuff, that has a ripple.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. I definitely spend too much time on social media, but I'm better than I have been in a long time as well, because they're designed to get our attention.
Yeah.
And our mind gets those little dopamine hits. It's like with anything, with any drug or whatever, our mind holds on to that good thing and wants to recreate that good feeling.
Yeah.
So again, it's that knowledge, that understanding, going, well, actually, I don't want that to be my experience, and bringing in those boundaries. And the more that we build our muscle on any of that, because our mind is a muscle, the more you practice it, the stronger it's going to get. So whether that's not turning your phone on until a certain time of the day, or you can put these timers on, can't you, for certain apps and that sort of thing. Make it work for you rather than you work for it.
Yeah, we've it's interesting because I've got a couple of clients. They got quite offended. They said, "Oh, it comes up, but Farley's on Do Not Disturb," and it was like, "Yeah, my phone goes off. It goes into sleep mode at 7 p.m. That's it. I'm not contactable. I can be on my terms, but I'm not contactable after 7 p.m. 9 p.m. I'm asleep. I am such an early. However, I am that person that will text you at 5:30. So make sure I'm on mute wherever. But it's had to be strict, because I think I saw someone put the other day that it is, social media is like a drug. It's an addiction, and we get, like you say, those small dopamine hits of addiction. And my husband and I were saying that we were looking and going through trying to get our daughter off, and she's like, "But you're on your phones." And Ben was like, "Yeah, but it's for work." I went, "It's not for work." I said, "There's a small percentage where we're on it for work, but if you're actually looking at your screen time and what you're on, that's not for work." I can go on for work a couple of hours at either end of the day for clients, check some messages, but no, I don't. The rest of it's me, just and looking at stuff that's not going to do me any good whatsoever. I'm not learning from that. But like you say, the algorithm has sent me people that I have learned from, but I will always reach out and make connections, in, like, whether I can in real life or not. But to try and that's kind of, so I said before I stopped using Facebook, I tailored my timeline quite well, that when I was looking at it, it was people, friends, family, people I was interested in, or genuinely people that are sharing like tips or information that's useful to me. Because I think that's the thing, we're in a world where you can get fed so much useless information.
But it's awareness first, right? You can't change it until you know how you're operating. And I think that is the trouble, is that we have been programmed and trained ourselves to be doing all the time, and we're always on, and we're not built to do that. We're supposed to regulate. But essentially we're in fight, flight or freeze most of the time. And then when we do try and rest, we're like, "Oh, we should be doing something." Our body's literally like, "Yes, something wrong," because we're in
that constant state of overwhelm of just like
you never wonder why we struggle with the kids, whatever else is going on in the world. So that is a big part of what I do, is breaking those patterns. I had a client on my mastermind not that long ago, and she said, "Marie, you're telling me to do nothing." I'm like, take yourself out on a walk, do anything that's going to bring you some joy. And that just felt so alien to her, and so like, how can that possibly be? And it's like, essentially it's that fear of, oh, if I drop the ball, I don't do something now, I'm going to be behind, or so on and so forth. But actually that's not the case at all, because we know, whether you look at it from the logical aspect or from the more magical side, is that when you are feeling better, things are better. You get more inspiration, you get creative, you're better at problem solving, all of that good stuff. And we know this, right? You go on holiday, you come back, you feel energized, and
or have a shower. That's always my thing, of like, when I'm in the shower, that's when all my ideas hit, because I'm not just I don't have to think.
You create that space, you've opened that mind up. So that's very much like breaking that, and I know that's hard, because I was there. I was very much taught that if you're not working hard and getting up early and sacrificing, that basically you're lazy.
Which is mad, isn't it?
It is mad. And we've got this story that we have to earn rest. And that's not only is it not productive to be like that and going to eventually lead to burnout, but it's our well-being.
Yeah.
And if you've not got your health, you've got nothing.
No.
There's no way you're going to be earning money. Doesn't matter if someone gives you $1 million tomorrow, if you can't enjoy it.
No, exactly.
That's the point. So
yeah,
I think that's really important to understand, that we do have control over that. If stress causes illness, then feeling good can cause wellness.
Yeah. And is that how you got into where you are today? Was it through those experiences, or what was your journey to get to tell people to do nothing?
So my journey, I often refer to starting in my health journey. And that's when I realised the power of the body. I realised that I did have some belief shifts, although I didn't label them as such. I just realised that actually when I decided that I could give up my excuses, which was no time, no money, no energy, that solutions did appear. And I was really passionate about helping people. I realised through that journey of becoming a personal trainer that it wasn't that they didn't know how to do exercise. They knew what they meant to do.
Yeah.
It was their mind and putting themselves first and all that sort of thing. So then I basically had enough of my old job, which I knew I never meant to be there. But luckily a manager came in, and it was very obvious that our values were not going to connect anytime soon. So I said, right, that's that then. And someone said, well, why are you not a coach? Like, doing a life coach or something. And when you get that feeling, that I literally just got the tingles, and I was like, okay, yeah. Noted.
That's what I should be doing.
Yeah. So then I went home and of course had to tell my husband.
Yeah. By the way.
Yeah. And that just started a whole new journey of understanding the power of the mind.
Yeah.
And then of course realising, well, you can't talk about the two separately.
No.
Because they're so interlinked. And it's just been a beautiful evolution from that, really, because I have always been very heady and very logical minded, and have to work it all out and try and be very, figuring it all out, really.
Yeah.
And now to get to that point where I'm actually much more heart focused. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The head's there for a reason, but it's actually quietening the mind.
Yeah.
And realising that we are not that voice. And that we can actually choose our experience. We can choose to change our perspective. We can choose to change our script.
Yeah.
Whether that be going forward or a story from the past.
Yeah.
And that a lot of people can get really caught up in their identity, right? They think, I am this way because of X, Y, Z. Yeah. And I'm like, well...
Or I've been told.
Yeah.
I'm this way because I've been told I'm that way.
Yeah. Well, I was always clumsy. My parents would probably tell you that I still am. But, however, since I realised that was a story, I also realised it's because I was rushing. And since I've done that, suddenly I'm not so clumsy.
Yeah.
So, it's really interesting, that inner talk. And those statements that we say to ourselves, I never have enough time, or so-and-so always does this. Like, they're statements.
Yeah.
You're telling yourself that, and you are reinforcing that in your mind.
Yeah.
Are they stories you want to tell yourself? Do they support where you want to go?
Yeah.
Are they empowering or disempowering?
And do you find, because that's something, I have that conversation with my daughter's 10. So we're now at that state of like, oh, it's not going to happen, or, oh, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, okay, if you say that. So I now play the devil's advocate. Okay, you're saying that it's not going to happen. What do you mean? No, you've said it now, so it means it's not going to happen. Well, what? I want it to happen. Okay, we'll say it's going to happen then. Doesn't work like that. It does. Because there's a lot of things that practically, yes, I can make happen. But it's trying to teach her that, because she's, I'm no good at this. Oh, I'm too slow. Swimming's classic at the moment. Oh, I'm too slow. Why are you too slow? So-and-so tells me I'm too slow, one of the other kids. Okay, so what are we going to do about that then? We're going to practice more?
Yeah.
Or are you going to get better? 'Cause that's your control. That's within your control, which is hilarious because I tell her all this, and can be very do as I say, not as I do. And then I go off, and then I'm like, but it's funny because I'm repeating it out loud to her. It's making me more conscious of it because it's that subconscious things. But I think it's that what people don't know because they're rushing, because they've got guilt, because they've got too much to do. They've just not got that awareness at all. And is that your most common theme from people when they come to you? Is that their sort of some negative self-talk? Yeah,
you're the person you spend the most time with. Literally, that's going to make a massive difference. But of course, that's influenced by lots of other things. So your environment is your number one indicator to your health, wealth, and happiness.
Yeah.
So they say you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, which is super powerful. Now, it's not to say you can't change that, but it's going to be a lot harder if you're surrounding yourself with negative people that have beliefs that are not going to back up, whether that's no one has any money or so on and so forth, or business is hard and you have to sacrifice. That it's all going to get in there, whether you know it or not. And I always have a healthy word with my mother about the radio. I'm like, you might not be listening, but you are. Your subconscious is listening, whether you know it or not. And so I think that's really, really powerful to have a little analysis of your environment. Who are the people you're surrounding yourself with? Are they feeding you the stories that you want to have? Which is why sort of the networking groups and such are such a game changer, because they do get it. You know, and they're going to lift you up when you might be having one of those moments. But on the same token, someone can tell you you're amazing until they're blue in the face, but until you believe it, it's not going to happen. Obviously, the more you hear it, it's going to help. If you're going to keep telling yourself a story that I'm not good enough, that it is hard,
it will be. And I think you make a good point with the networking. So obviously when people come in, they want to start a business or they've started that. How can I find more clients? And it's like, I've heard about, they either know networking or they've heard about networking. And I'm always like, well, I got around a bit when I started out and I went to every single networking group there was. And the classic, like we've said, someone will say, I did really well. I went to this networking group. And it's like, I said, I can list you out. Normally by this point, I can tell where they'll fit in and where they'll work for them. And I said, try it for yourself if you don't believe me. But I can tell you this one, this one, this one. These are the ones you want to aim for because you're surrounded by your people. They will be people that will lift you up. There will be people don't get me wrong, some of them you will get people that aren't your bag, but that's fine because you've got to meet everyone to tick or cross off that list anyway. But I've had a few people that are, or they've tried it and they've gone, oh, you were right. I shouldn't have gone to that one, but because
sometimes you've got to get it wrong to get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, but you also, no matter where you go, you might find that one person in that room who all of a sudden you click with.
Power of one.
Yeah, and you don't know why, but straight away. So actually the whole group might not be for you, but you might go for a coffee afterwards and that'll be it. That you're then clicked for then anyway.
100%.
And I think you can find that online as well as in person. See, I am more of an in-person person and I'm also better at the phone. So I always say to people, if you need, if it's urgent, I will ring you because I can message, but do not expect, this is my boundary. If you message me, don't expect an immediate response. I can't tell you how many WhatsApp messages I get a day, but there's a lot. So I don't know how to prioritise that. So it just gets left until I can sit and go through them all. And just give that people that time and dedication, that's where I'll manage that. That's my boundary. But also that's our customer service as well. I'd just like...
That's setting expectations as well, right?
Exactly that.
Like, if you can get clear on those things before you set out, then you're much more likely not to have that problem with people. It's fascinating because there's stories everywhere. And I'm not here to tell you what the stories are right or wrong, but I'm here to go, well, what story do you want to have?
Yeah.
And are those other ones going to be complementing it?
Yeah. And you say you work with predominantly females, but guys are okay. Guys, we're okay. But do you work with more, they are mums or people that, because I think so I always have a bit of a thing about women only networking, because I get why it's there and there's a purpose for it. But also I know some guys that would be bloody great in that group. However, I'm barred from a local networking group that's 250 meters from my bed. But I know it's not my people, it's not my group. So clearly, because one of them's managed to get me barred from it, but which is that age-old thing. And I suppose the point I'm getting to is there is negativity out there, but how do you, especially as a helper person, the same as it's very much a helper role, how do you kind of shield yourself from that? Is it by choosing your target market and choosing who you work with, and where are your boundaries? Because you could have quite a lot of negativity inflicted onto you.
Well, I'm quite lucky.
You're not.
They're not telling me about it, but yeah, no, it's predominantly women in business, mainly mums that I seem to attract. I'm very much a believer that your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah,
and that is very much helped through me getting clear on myself.
Yeah,
and owning my greatness and my gifts, and that probably, early years was much more. It's almost invisible because that's how I felt about the work, because there was so many other people, amazing people doing not the same thing but often similar things. So it's been a journey to get here, but it's an interesting one. Like, I completely get you on the mixed networking, and actually I saw a gentleman put a post up the other day, like, I see all these women only networking, do men need one? And I said, probably.
Yeah.
Because it's not just networking. It's not just about the business, right?
Yeah.
Because our businesses are an extension of us. They are like our babies, but they're so intertwined with our work and how we feel about ourselves and everything else. So it's an interesting one.
But I think the guys have lost that finish work, go to the pub. And that was their time. I was talking to someone the other day, and she was like, I love it when my other half has gone just for an hour or hour and a half, just gone in, got out what they needed to get out from their day, bounced off a couple of people, and comes home different person. So rather than this coiled spring of coming home and like, bah, and it's the same. And that's what I kind of explain to people. Networking isn't about, hi, I'm Farley, you need to buy from me. Do you need social media services? You need to can I take your card? Because I'm going to email you next week to double check you don't need my social media services. And I'm going to let you know, which is, again, experience from some networking groups. But I said, it's not about that. I said 9 times out of 10, I won't talk about what I do. It's just, you just then end up attracting. If I can connect with someone personally, I know we'll work well together.
Yeah.
If I don't, then that's fine. We've met, but we don't have to. And I think that's another thing, people either coming out of corporate or coming out of what they've told, that you have to work with everyone. You have to accept everybody. And men 100% do need their own. But maybe I didn't phrase it very well, because people obviously are coming to you for help. So they're not putting on to you, but they're, whether it's venting, ranting, or whatever it is.
Okay.
So you're getting there, and it's negative's the wrong word, but it is negative because it's their problems. It's that offloading. So how do you, because obviously you're giving them the tools to deal with that.
Yeah,
but that thoughts and feelings have got to go somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, usually they're transmuted, if I'm honest. Like, in helping them move it round, it's not got the same impact. I just see it from a different perspective. I'm like, well, what about if you thought about it like this, or perhaps this could be working that way, or have you thought about this sort of thing? So I don't necessarily get that all the time. I've been, extremely lucky. I have heard of other people that have attracted not so wonderful clients. But then, depends what you believe. In many respects, I believe that they're just mirroring something within you. And if you have that healthy boundary, if you know like where your limits are. So for her, it would have been deflecting to a counsellor or something, probably earlier on than she did. But I think it's all an opportunity. All an opportunity for growth, a bit more clarity on who you are, what you do, what you don't do.
Yeah.
And often, you know, I find a lot of people do things because they can.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, if they actually should.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what's your favourite bit? Where's your thrive? When do you thrive? What's your...
I've actually moved into in-person events as well, like intimate in-person events, which kind of incorporates the mindset and the energy side. And I did that with a sound healer as well, which is proved to be really magical. I didn't foresee it turning into what it has. But I'd love to do a little bit more of that, because you know, there is something about in-person that you don't get online. That's not to say online isn't super powerful, but that's kind of one of my favorites now, because you just get that real-time feedback, those real-time shifts. But
well, you must see people physically, just like the shoulders come down, relax, like
release. There's lots of tears, lots of understanding, lots of realizing that they're not alone, and they don't have to be, not going crazy. Like going back to that regulation side of things, that if we're not able to regulate, then our kids are unlikely to be able to regulate, and there's just like this snowball effect. And it's a wonder that a lot of these people are going, I just feel like I'm going crazy, like I'm just getting wrong, and they're getting ill, and they're not, you know, making the progress they want, because they aren't just literally getting it at all angles and trying to do it all themselves. They're not asking for the help. They feel like a burden for asking. It just, investing in themselves is, you know, seen as not the right thing to do or whatever. So I think that's a really powerful understanding. Is often when they come to me and they decide that they are going to work with me, it's actually them giving themselves permission and say, all right, I'm ready to shift now. I'm ready to let go of those stories. I'm ready to have a different experience.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was in corporate, we had one of our courses for everyone to go on, aka morale was a bit crap, so let's bring in, and it was called an It's Time course. So it's about time management, about, well, when should you manage email, should you put these boundaries in, should you do this. And it was the afternoon session, and they were like, right, we're going to go around the tables and talk about yourself, like you've got to talk about yourself and your job for 2 minutes. And it got to me, I just burst into tears, and the woman organising it, she was like, you all right? Right, should we take you out the room? Because it was very much like, it's not the place, come on.
Don't know how to handle
it. No. And she was like, what's going on? I went, I genuinely don't know why someone would want to listen to me for 2 minutes. Well, that's, I just, why should I talk about myself? And everyone's going to be looking at me. I'd rather everyone can look at me. And bless her, she kind of, out of that room, she switched from corporate to like person. And she was like, and I remember telling her, she's, one of the really simple things was obviously she should just collect a box of, like, when someone sent you like a nice email or a nice note, and build it up from there, and different things like that. But it was very much this is not the place for you to burst into tears. And you're like, oh. Whereas you're saying it's, God, it's your safe space. You can relax. You can be you. You want to sit and cry, you can bawl your eyes out, you crack on. Which is quite unusual, because we're meant to be living our best lives 24/7, because on social media, so it's true. So to be able for people to do that must be a huge, compliment to you to start with, but also such a lovely thing to see and witness, which is weird because they're upset, but that they can be themselves and just go, oh, do you know what? It's all coming out now.
Yeah. In one hand, you're like, oh, I feel like that, just frustration that we are putting this space on all the time, that we've come to the point where we're like this. But again, you can take the other side and go, well, now's the time. You're ready to change that and create these spaces where people do feel seen, where they do feel heard and understood, and more importantly, know that that doesn't have to be their experience going forward. And that's not to say that you work with me and it's all going to be sunshine and roses. I'm not saying that. I really believe that we're here for the good, the bad, the ugly, and it's how you decide to move through that that's going to really dictate your experience.
Do you have bad days? How do you cope with your bad days?
Get support. Yeah, I've got some amazing people in my life. Don't get me wrong. Again, there's still room for improvement.
But there's always going to be, because life changes, you evolve, you're different. Like you say, it's different phase of your life, different challenges, different, whether it's day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. It's always going to be.
Yeah. So for me, whilst I've had the tools to have wonderful shifts over the last few years, it's been where I've decided to care about how I feel, where I've decided to honour my voice, realising that love isn't just about the nice stuff, it's also about having those difficult conversations and honouring what might not always be convenient. It's not always going to be what someone else wants to hear, but it still needs to be said. And essentially it's the discomfort over resentment, because that can have a nasty way of building up with measuring, or they're not doing as much as me and blah blah blah. Whereas actually we've all got our challenges, and it's how we come together. Because often when we dig a little bit deeper, actually we're trying to achieve the same things, but it always comes down to how we're feeling about ourselves.
And I think it's important to note, because it is, I joke, but genuinely the majority of social media is everyone's living their best lives, everyone's all right, everyone's fine. And it's not. I was talking to someone at the weekend and she's had it where people are like, well, you're all right, so what, we don't need to worry about you almost because you're doing all right. She's like, am I though? Have you asked me? Have you actually said how are you getting on? And I said, it's like the whole, because like you say with your 5, it's you can cope mentally with 5 close people in your life. You can't have that relationship with 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. It's just not, you're not going to see that on that level. And I said to her, I said that unfortunately in this day and age, it takes that. And God, we had a fantastic chat for about 45 minutes, which suddenly went deep quite quickly. But we obviously both needed it. And I probably won't say, I haven't seen her for months. I probably won't see her for months again. But again, okay, she's not one of my 5, but it's one of those people you can instantly have that with. But yeah, on the surface, that mask might be, I'm having a great time. Are you though?
That's really interesting, because that did come up at the most recent event, sort of about old friends and drifting apart and them not being there as much as you might be for them. But I do believe that there are those people for different seasons, and there are those people you're just going to meet one off and somehow have had a massive impact in how you go forward. It is really powerful. But going back to your corporate meeting, and people just don't know how to deal with uncomfortable.
No.
And we've had that again programmed into us, isn't it? Or, suck it up, or put your chin up, or whatever it is, bite your tongue.
Worry about that later. Behind closed doors, we don't need to.
Up a lip.
Need to deal with that. And I went into corporate very young, so I never had those tools of how to deal with it. And I could be someone I didn't know how to deal with working with people I'm not comfortable with or don't like. I'm very much, I like fairness. So if everything's fair, I'm good. If it's unfair, I get frustrated and don't know how to deal with that, and it will come out in different ways. So I had to almost learn that on the job to deal with that. But it was very much get back in your box. And God, there was a whole load. I mean, we could talk 2 hours about corporate because a whole huge rant on that one. But it's that I knew quite quickly I don't fit in there. I don't know where I fit in, but I know I don't fit in here, and this isn't for me. So, and it was a case of leaving, wobbling off, and finding like who I do fit in with. And that's what I think is important for, if anything to take away for people. It's that's where it's more energy than mindset, because it's taking you. It's finding that person you're going to, like you say, vibe with or get along with. Because if you don't, it's just.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I
Why do you
first
want
sort of
life to be
realised.
uncomfortable?
Yeah, I remember when I first sort of realised. Oh, wavelength. Literally, you're on my wavelength.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like finishing each other's sentences, and oh, okay, that's what that is.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was quite so literal.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It is.
Yeah.
Some people just get it, and you can say the wrong thing to the right person, they'll hear you completely, and the right thing to the wrong person, it's like over the head.
And it's funny because as a recovering people pleaser, I will go around to make sure I've spoken to everyone, everyone's okay, we're all good, everyone's fine. Whereas I was away this weekend and I didn't do that. I was just like, do you know what? I'm just going to sit with my mates. I'm not working. I don't need to go and check in and say hello to everybody and show my face. So we stayed within my friend. Oh, I had a brilliant time because I wasn't anxious. I wasn't worried. And I think people feel that you have to do exactly that. You have to go and check in with people all the time. Do you know what? If I'm not going to go and say hello to you and you're going to get in a mood with it, that's not a me problem. It's not my problem.
Yeah. But isn't it funny how we sort of seem to get to 30s, 40s before we suddenly realise actually that's not that's not good.
That's not normal.
Realise happiness, is it? Yeah, it's really interesting because I just realised that I'd gone through this life sort of been dictated what I should do and how I should act and what the right and wrong thing was, and then I was like, hang on a second, what is it that I want, and what is it that's going to make me happy? I couldn't believe that I got this far in life without asking those powerful yet simple questions.
It's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad. But is that what's the biggest wow moment that people take when you say, is it something like that where they're like, what you mean I can like A, do nothing, and B, do what I want to do?
They're usually the small ones. I mean, often it is the little moments, right? Than to the big ones. But I still get messages from clients now going, Marie, you won't believe it, I've actually got this amount in the bank now that's my safety net that I didn't have before. I've actually paid myself properly this month. Or I decided I was going on a ski trip and I managed to manifest £3,000. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Can I come?
Yeah.
But no, it's those little things, or indeed the shifts with the children. They suddenly realise that, oh, it wasn't just all them. There was a big part in how I was showing up. And I've got a 5-year-old, don't get me wrong, have blown my top enough times. But there's amazing how many times I've been able to go, okay, let's play with this situation versus a power struggle.
We don't have to go from 0 to 100 right now.
No. And all of a sudden, like, if you turn it into a game, this magical thing happens where they actually cooperate or whatever. But I wouldn't be able to do that as much as I do if I was always at the end of my tether, exhausted, whatever it may be. So the little moments are often the wow moments. But there are big ones as well. A lot of the time they just can't believe that they are showing up and doing what they're doing, making the impact they want to make, getting the feedback that they want to have, working with people or on the projects that they want to have that they almost didn't believe were in their reach.
And how does it, because you mentioned having like £3,000 in the bank, able to pay yourself, so the money side of it, how does that work? Because I kind of know and I believe, so I'm very transparent about money. And I believe money is energy that you can, and I know I can attract it if I need it. How how does that work with clients? Because we've gone from obviously saying about mindset energies to someone going, oh my God, I've got £3,000 in the bank. Is it that they've just won the lottery and got a winning lottery ticket? Is it that they've put work in it? How's that?
It's multi-layered.
Is it that you tell me to do nothing and then I get £3,000?
I can tell you it's not from a place of I need to manifest £3,000 now turn up. It doesn't work like that.
No.
But it comes back to that self-image, right? Like if you've got beliefs that it's hard to make money, that you need to work 24/7 to do it, do you think it's going to happen without those two things? Like our minds literally work to reinforce our existing beliefs.
Yeah.
So you've got that's the logical side of things, right? And if you don't, if you have unhelpful beliefs, you're going to have unhelpful thoughts, which are going to equal unhelpful actions, which are going to equal unhelpful results. You're not going to take the time to go for the opportunity. You're not going to show up online, have the conversations, whatever it may be. But it also comes down to how we feel about ourselves. And so we often have this formula in our head, well, if I do this plus this, then that equals that.
Yeah.
And so I have to do this to be that. Whereas actually it's about who we're being that's going to equal the other things.
Yeah.
So if you feel the difference between I need to earn £5,000 this month versus I'm the person that easily earns £5,000, feels very different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so when you're operating from that, you are just going to see the world differently.
Yeah.
You will see an opportunity. You will create a package.
Yeah. And I think that's really important because we all know, I mean, The Secret went viral for a reason several times over, but I think people immediately, I'm guessing I'm talking about the doubters and people that will sit there and go, what, you mean I can sit here and go, I will manifest £3,000 this month, and all of a sudden it comes to me? It's the same as going back to what I was saying about social media, where people are like, oh, look, I made a Canva course and I've got £100,000 this month. That's not how it works. That's not what does it. And
that's not the full recipe.
No. And it goes back to my point of people need to put the hard work in. They're not going to say, oh, so Marie, I'll sign up with you. You'll tell me to do nothing. And all of a sudden I'll have £3,000 in my bank account. No, funnily enough.
No, action has to follow.
Yeah, you need to take those actions. You do need to do more things. And I think that goes with...
Not necessarily more things.
Well, more things in terms of more things as in the right things to do in terms of taking those little actions, of doing more for you and doing more in the right direction. Whereas you can do less over here, that's fine as well. But doing more of the...
Often 20% of what you're doing is actually getting you 80% of your results.
Yeah, 100%.
So, it's often focusing in on, okay, well, what is it that's actually moving the needle and who am I being in that version? So, I think I said before, you'll never beat your own self-image. And we know that people make a judgment on you, whether you like it or not, within seconds of having seen you. So, and there's not just... what makeup we're wearing, it's that energy. We feel that energy. If you're not going to be sold on your course and telling me why it's valuable, why it's worth this amount of money, do you think someone else is? And they're going to pick up on that uncertainty. They don't necessarily go, oh, she's uncertain about it. They're like, not sure about that.
I'm not convinced.
And there's lots of for choice out there. So it's that clarity really on going, okay, well, this is who it's for. This is why it's valuable. This is the transformation. And so on and so forth. And you can't just sit there and meditate. But what you are doing when you are sitting in that mind, when you are using your tool of imagination, you're essentially creating an auto-suggestion for your subconscious and going, come on, fill the blanks in. And so that's when those little moments of inspiration come in.
Well, and that's why doing nothing is important.
Creating that space. But it's a formula. It's not just one piece. It's like having some ingredients of the cake and one, not putting it all together in the right way, and then put it in the oven and not giving it enough time. Like, That's the whole thing, this process.
And do you find it obviously it comes with target market and working with the right people. Do you find that some people it's how do I phrase this? It's working with knowing they're going to put that effort in, knowing they have that vision, they get it, sort of thing. Because I'm guessing you get a lot of people come to you that are burnt out completely and just almost looking for a quick win or are you going to make me feel better?
Setting that expectation as well, that understanding. Okay, this is where you got to where you are, and you've been practicing that for how long?
Yeah.
You're going to have to practice a new way. And you, first and foremost, but I can give you the tools. We need to understand why that works.
Yeah.
To have that motivation to do it.
Yeah.
And if you're not motivated to do it, then what's the story behind you not wanting to commit to yourself? Why do you not feel that this can be your reality and allow yourself to have it?
Yeah.
And this could be multi-layered, right? Again, like it could be that you had a family member that had to work 3 jobs, and if you're suddenly earning loads of money doing something you love and not killing yourself, does that might feel a bit awkward? In fact, at that event the other day when they did their introductions, I said, I know you're all amazing women, so why did I not hear any of you really talk about your greatness?
Yeah.
I heard you say what you do.
Yeah.
You didn't say why, that you were amazing at it. And there's almost like a feeling bad for loving what they do and being passionate and receiving well.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people go, oh, my life's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand it. We want you to be honest.
Yeah.
But also, I found it really revealing. Not from a judgment.
No.
It's just from that's how you're feeling.
Yeah.
What's the story?
Yeah. But it's different. It's like different people's level of mess. I always say about different people's level as I'm busy. Like I can say I'm really busy and I'll have 5 appointments in the diary. Whereas I've worked with some clients and like, I'm really busy today. I was like, oh, okay, you back to back. Oh no, I've got 1 appointment, but I want to prepare for it. I want the appointment and just like, oh, okay, so that's a whole nother different level.
Oh, yeah.
But to them, that's busy. And that would be the same with my life's an absolute mess. It's not an absolute mess. I mean, we can go down and we can go the whole comparisons, the thief of joy in terms of comparing people's lives and whether it's messy or not, but they ain't going to be good for anyone. But if it's their perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can find evidence for whatever you want to believe, right? And so if I asked you to tell me why your life's a mess, you'll find lots of reasons. Yeah. And if I told you, asked you reasons to find out why it's amazing, you could also give me reasons. Your mind will work for you in that respect. It is fascinating because we're going to talk about negative more anyway. Yeah, because we know other people relate to that. It's a commonality. It makes people go, oh, we connect on something. So that's why you're 3 times more likely to talk about a negative experience than a positive one.
Well, I always get about going viral on social media. I mean, technically I've been viral once, and they're like, oh, how'd you do it? I went, just slated anyone using ChatGPT. And they're like, oh, do you not do that then? Yeah, I use it. I said, but it just coincided and I was doing, and I test and trial. That's what I do. That's my job. And they're like, oh, so you could go, yeah, I could probably go viral quite a lot, but it's not in my nature to do what needs to go viral. It's not, I'm not that person. So it's this hard, and also when you do go viral, you attract more negativity anyway. So it's like,
true story. Yeah.
But yeah, you're exactly right. That's what people relate to. That's what they'll watch. That's what they'll consume.
Yeah, it is interesting, is it? But again, a belief like, oh well, if you're not going viral, then you're not successful. That's a belief. There's plenty of people with small audiences that are getting a high turnover. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's such a common conversation. I said, I can go through my followers, whether you think it's high or low or whatever. I can normally say, oh, that's Marie. Marie did a talk for us. Oh, that's so and so. We've worked with them. Oh, that's actually a client. Or that's we've done this with them. Oh, we met them at an event, and we've I said I can name everybody on there, and we've worked together in some way or form, and that's kind of what it's all about, surely. Yeah, unless your job is to go viral, then obviously.
Well, indeed, if it's to influence, but my job is definitely not to sit on social media all day.
No, exactly.
And it is really interesting what different people's perception of success really is, and that's where we have those conversations. Well, what do you really want? Do you want it that you're earning X amount and you're able to spend time with the family, or do you want to take over the world and impact millions of people? Not to say what's right or wrong, but it's to go, what is it really that you want? Because often what we're going for is because of the perception of the feeling we will have when we get it, and what that means for us, whether that means we're successful and happy and blah blah blah. And then when you look at it really, you realise that you can create those feelings now. So why wouldn't you create it now? The joy is in the journey. But that's true, right? And I often refer to it like a road trip. And a road trip that you plan out, you're much more likely to enjoy and get better results in. There might be a diversion, and there might be a disappointment with the hotel or whatever, but you're much more likely to have it. And you're much more likely to meet your people on the way. Yeah. So, I'd rather have a good road trip rather than go straight there on the M25 and then be thinking about the next holiday. As soon as I get like, why not enjoy the journey?
Yeah. Exactly that. So when you were saying about the talking, so we'd talk, would it be in a one-to-one or a group of like, right, what do you want? Where do you want to be? What's your perception of success? Because I had the example the other day. I was talking to someone and I said, right, can I just confirm this is confidential? Because it was a personal service. She's like, yeah, of course. And like that kind of face. I was like, no, I've done group work before and it's been not confidential, and admittedly they didn't tell me, so that's fine on some respects, but I had this problem with being such a local area. I had someone random come up to me, oh, I hear you're doing that and you said this, and I was like and it just caught me. I mean, I've got an answer for everything. I can normally like jump, and it just completely caught me on the fly. I was like, it's not a secret that I'm doing that, but also I thought it was, the environment was safe, so everything you said was obviously a safe place. So it's there. So I'm guessing with the group work, if someone, because I'm guessing that's quite a personal thing for someone to say, and for us women as well to be quite comfortable with, I want to earn £5,000 a month.
Yeah,
that's quite a whole level of us feeling comfortable. So is that like a one-to-one thing, or is that group work, or how does it?
Well, the only group container I have at the moment is the mastermind, and we have both elements. So there'll be the one-to-one stuff that's obviously between us, and then there'll be the group stuff which people can be as open or as closed as they want to be. You'll often find there's like-minded people in there, so they feel safe enough to share. But I think the reason the one-to-one element is so important and it works really well is because I get to meet people where they are. Because there's that teaching element in the group coaching, but the one-to-one is going, okay, well, what's it for you? And everyone's going to be different. And it's amazing how deep it can get. And I don't lead with that because not many people probably
no exactly.
I want to go and dig up
but it's everyone. It's adapting to everyone, isn't it? It's adapting to how they are as a person, what they want to work on, and it's
and meeting them at their beliefs as well, right? Because if I've got someone that's new to the subjects completely, it's going to be a different conversation to someone that's been familiar in that world for a while but still struggling to do the integration work with it. So I think one-to-one is really important for that. I do have a container which is much more, excluding the group work, but I think the mastermind is so special because it does have all of that. And then I've got the audios and stuff that help reprogram this beautiful subconscious mind of ours as well. So it's very beautiful work that I get to do. I'm very lucky. And it also is very powerful for me, because often you'll find I have these conversations like, you needed to hear that, Marie, didn't you?
Yeah.
Minded it. Yeah.
Same as what I do. It's like, do as I say, not as I do. Right? Make a mental note. I've got to go and do that, because you do. You just get. It's so easy to get caught up with everything and just be overwhelmed, and with everything that gets thrown at us on a daily basis. It's just, it's a whole nother level of stuff. So
that's the beauty in getting intentional. Okay, what is it that's important to me? What am I working towards? Because the vast majority of people aren't operating on that. They're actually being reactive on a day-to-day basis,
100%.
Versus going, actually, what's important to me? How can I? It makes it much easier to say no if you know that it's not going to serve you and where you're going and your family or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Like that people pleaser, just a little bit easier for them.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. What do you mean I can say no?
Yeah.
I can say that word. It's the same as when we closed the shop. So many people, why'd you close the shop? Footfall was too high. And they're like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, footfall was too high. Like, but it just wasn't right for us. We had to make the decision. It didn't serve us anymore, and I was being reactive daily. There was nothing proactive coming out of me at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, but footfall was high, so business was good. Yeah, business was really good. I'm not, and it's been a really weird thing, and I've had the same conversation with loads of different people, because they just don't. And I was like, no, I don't want to be reactive.
Don't you find it fascinating how you can have the same conversation with people, different people, and have very different responses?
Yeah. Oh, completely different. But, and then it's the same as their backgrounds, what their experience, that, and almost you should have been grateful for that. I was grateful for, like, don't get me wrong, I'm really, really grateful for it, but now's the time to close.
Yeah, really
wasn't good for me.
Isn't it? I find it fascinating. I was at a party a few weeks ago, and because we do things differently, we homeschool, and so we're not in the system, the traditional system, and because Jack's at that age now, there was lots of, is he at school and so on and so forth, and I was just like, no, and then would go through it, and it was really interesting because I have that clarity and confidence in myself. That's fine. But I even had a family member come up to me and they said, Marie, you know what? I thought you were mad. I really thought you were actually quite stupid for doing what you did. And now I get it. I was like, that he didn't have to say that, so that was amazing. No. But then there was another person, I could literally see her biting her tongue. I could tell that she just was desperate to say something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's knowing that.
The thing is, but the appreciation of that honesty to say, I thought you were mad.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Whereas, why bite your tongue? Why not say? Because then you can have a healthy discussion about it as well. It just.
But then they might hear something they don't want to hear. Because the trouble is with questioning other people's beliefs, then they have to question their own experience. They don't have to, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I get it, and that's fine. That's the beauty of, again, knowing what I do. I just had to smile because I just found it fascinating, because there's a few people, and to be honest, in my experience, more often than not, people understand they've either been in that situation which they could have done something differently, or know someone that the system hasn't benefited, and that's been okay. A few years ago, I don't think we would have had the same sort of response.
In recent years as well. This isn't going back. This is recent that people are getting it. I've got she's not at the school anymore, but she used to joke for me. Do you know where the school is? Do you ever do school run? No, I don't. I can't. I do not want to go into that playground. I know what it's like. I know who my friends are. I don't need to have friends with people just because our kids are the same age. It's not for me, and I'm quite confident with that. And doing what I do, I tried to help the school, and it just didn't. It didn't go well. But I kind of knew it. But me being me, wanting to help, and like, you've got access to like my little black book. God, I can. You want something? I had someone the other day. like, oh, can you get this, and this from this? I've been emailing them and gone back. Yeah, that's fine. We've done it. How do you do that? And I'm like, that's just what I do. I network, I chat to people. So I thought that would be useful. It wasn't useful in that environment. But that's fine. But the same, it's given my daughter the independence of walking to and from school. She hasn't had the cushion of me being there. She's come out, and that's what works for us. But no,
beautiful.
Yeah, I don't want to stand in a school playground.
But that's really interesting, because I know that a lot of mums, they try and do as much as possible for the babes, and then obviously have the story that it's all on them.
Yeah.
And often what we don't realise, that when we're trying to do something for other people, we can actually be disempowering them by not giving them the opportunity to step up. And I've definitely been guilty of this, like with my husband or something, like, because I can and I find it easier, I would often do it rather than invite them to step up.
Yeah. And we had the same when it's like, what school's Emily going to go to? One at the end of the road. What, you're not, but you know you can choose your school. What, so I can drive her somewhere and I can go there and go there. They've got good reports. They're done. If it doesn't work out, we'll test it, try it, and we'll work. It's fine. But now it's coming home, dumping a bag, I'm going up the park. So she's in and out, and just like from quite a young age. But then my friend reminded me the other day, at her age, we were getting the bus to school because we had middle schools then.
Yeah.
So it's all changed. And I've spoken to a couple of people recently that are looking at home, changing to homeschooling. And we could, like, again, go down for hours talking about the teaching of who teaches finances, who teaches how to manage a house, who teaches mad. But how many times have you used Pythagoras' theorem this week?
Oh, Farley.
Right? So I think it's nice, because I think even with small businesses as well, we're all evolving. It's like when people come in, like, I want to start a business, what do you want to do? And they'll come up with a couple of ideas, and they're like, no, I've looked into this, I've researched this. I'm like, you can make a business out of anything nowadays. And they're like, what? You can literally make money out of anything nowadays if you want to.
And it wasn't on your career chart.
No, it's not an accountant, a policeman, in sports, or a vet, which were always there. Yeah. And it's the same. It's why insurance struggles with us. We really struggle to get insurance for our business because they can't put us in a box. I'm not a plumber. I'm not an accountant. And they're like, I don't know what we can do. And I'm like, but you can't put me in a box. So that's what the problem is. I can give you a list of what I do, and you've got to do a bit more work for it. But it's mad. But genuinely. And I think it's a massive belief, and I love it. Similar to feeling to what you get. But I'm like, you can make money out of that.
Yeah.
What? I can make, I don't know, hairbands or something. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Just make the best out of that goddamn hairband you can find.
Absolutely.
And I just, But anyway, that's a whole, I mean, we could go rough on right tangents.
I know. And I love every single part of it, because, I think they're all conversations need to have. We'll have to come back for another round.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but thanks for coming on today. You've been awesome. Is there any one parting wisdom you'd leave with a small business owner?
You don't need to find the magic. You are the magic.
Love that. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. All of Marie's details will be in the show notes, so you'll find every which way to contact her. She's not sat on social media every day, but she's got a really cool website. So go and have a look on there. And like and subscribe. If you've got someone who needs the magic, then please get in touch with them and share her details. Just give them a nudge her way. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.